We are now here for our study session items, and we are looking forward to hearing about our third grade reading plan. Ms. Dickinson-Kelly will help us with that. Dr. Swift, do you want to introduce this item, please?
Thank you, yes. So just to orient you, trustees, you have the parent brochure that you will recall from last fall that we developed. And so that's one item that you have. And I've asked Ms. Helton to attach all of these items so that members of our community can see them as well. You also have our update, kind of our white paper from October. It was very nice to look back at this October document and to see that these great folks and our amazing team have accomplished this year what we set out to do. You also have, trustees, a few other documents, including the Essentials booklet, that really goes over the essential practices in early and elementary literacy, and that's a great piece as well. I just want to introduce this topic this evening. I'm sorry, one more piece. And you also have the frequently asked questions document that has to do with just things we felt like folks would ask after this kind of 1 year anniversary. Trustees, a year ago now, I think it was May 30th or something like that, we were together to talk about the upcoming implementation of the third grade reading law in Michigan. And then in August and September, we gave an update, thank you. And then in October, we gave a follow-up on some questions and great pieces that the board raised. So it is wonderful this evening to come full circle on this project. I want to just point out, just as a reminder, maybe some folks weren't with us last year, in October of 2016, the governor signed the third grade reading legislation into law. And our decision in the Ann Arbor Public Schools was that we would leverage the opportunity of a new third grade reading law requirement as a great silver lining to improve the overall work that we do in early literacy. Our teachers are amazingly competent and talented around early literacy. Trustee Beskett, we often talk about the days 15 years ago when we really dove deep into balanced literacy. So we have a strong foundation, and yet we know there was more work that we could do. There was more improvement that we could make. So we started on the plan then, and I want to just remind you of a few pieces of that plan, and then our team will share an update of that. We chose 5 pathways last year. We talked about the people that we would add, the process we would use, a slight shift in pedagogy in the classroom, and then we would use prescribed instruction and intervention, and then finally that we would ensure, and trustees, I remember you all discussing this very vigorously at the table, to ensure that we brought our parents along and that they understood every step of the way what we were doing. So just real quickly, our progress over the year. With people, we have literacy experts in all of our schools. They call themselves BLEs, Building Literacy Experts. I still refer to them as reading interventionists. I'm just kind of stuck there. You will recall, trustees, we went from about 10 or 11 FTE up to 14 FTE, to 14 and a half, thank you, to cover every single school in the district. We use a differentiated model because some schools have more intensive need than others, so our teams are out as they need to be. We also worked last fall, our team did, on a real focus around students that are exhibiting symptoms of dyslexia, and we engaged with the Eaton Academy and with the Literacy, Language, and Learning Institute here in Ann Arbor. Last fall, trustees, we shared with you that we thought we might post and hire for a dyslexia specialist. And I just want to share with you that as we worked with these two partners over the course of the year, we actually have stuck with them because Eaton Academy and the LLI folks have brought such expertise to the table. And so they are helping us with parent meetings. Obviously, you'll hear about the great literacy nights that these folks have done, but that piece around dyslexia has been in place. We talked about the process. And under process, you recall, trustees, that there was a lot to be done within the first 30 days of school. By state law, every child has to be universally screened and checked, and any red flags are noted, and the team starts their work. We also work to identify discrete areas for focus, and we'll talk tonight about the big five. You remember, trustees, that was one of the significant shifts, was really separating students and tending to students in groups according to their need, and not just in those kind of traditional text level groups that we had been using. And then finally, trustees, you remember a long fall, October, November. This is like the greatest hits of the third grade reading year this past year. October, November, getting those individual reading plans in place. I have trouble calling them IRIPs. I just think that's a terrible acronym. So I use individual reading plan. But at any rate, those were all in place, and our parents were visited with by their teachers as we moved into those parent-teacher conferences, and things were in place, I would say, by Thanksgiving of our first year. We talked also about the shift in pedagogy. Here are the 5 areas that really we're required to focus on, and we know they're important: vocabulary, phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, and comprehension. So we don't assume that every reading issue is the same. We know, in fact, that they are very distinct. So we're watching for that profile of a student. A student may have a need in only one of these areas, or they may have a constellation of needs, and our teachers will be sharing more about this shortly. Finally, we've done a lot on parent communication, and I remember, trustees, that this was one of your concerns. I am so proud not only of the reading brochure, which we've used all year, has been very helpful, but I'm also proud of the parent workshops. I didn't get it on this slide, but I should have. You're going to see more about it in a moment. The family literacy nights, I don't get to go to all of them, but trustees, on Twitter, you can see they're all lined up, and they're just going through the year this focus on family literacy and helping parents know how to work with their students at home and to support their literacy. So at this time, I believe that's it for my part. Okay, we will have our team come forward. Trustees, you do have a school by school sheet that we probably won't refer to this evening, but I wanted you to have that and to note it in your packet. I just want to publicly thank our amazing Ann Arbor Public Schools team. Trustees, you will recall, and it is not about me, but I must share this. This is my second time to implement the third grade reading law. I have done that in a previous state and done it again here in Michigan. I am so proud of our Ann Arbor Public Schools team, because here it was not about compliance. And I have lived in places where it was, did we do what the law said? Check the box, check the box, check the box. Here, it has been, and you'll see it in the stories of our teachers, it has been about truly getting more tools and more resources and more focused energy directly onto students right where they need the help, knowing that if we attend to their individual need, many times they will pop right up and improve right away with their need. Now, one more thing, and then I'll give it to Ms. Dickinson-Kelly. You've asked me, trustees and folks in the community asked me, how many students did we serve this year? We served about 1,089 students, so just shy of 1,100 first through third grade students were served with an individual reading plan this year. Of that number, about 770 received explicit instruction from one of our many talented reading interventionist building literacy experts. So we are so proud of that number, and we know that by attending to literacy needs early, we can resolve these issues and students can move forward as successful readers. And so with that, trustees, I've tried to lay the foundation and answer many of your questions, I hope, as we do this update. So, Ms. Dickinson-Kelly, that was our plan that we started with a year ago. The question this evening in this study session is, how has it gone?
Oh, and we're very pleased to be here, and thank you for that introduction. So thank you, trustees. We've been looking forward to this opportunity. By design, this evening the presentation is going to be shared by both general education and special education. We want to make it visually apparent that we are deeply committed to collaboration, and our students are better served through that collaboration, through enhanced instruction. This evening, I'm going to turn the presentation over shortly to Ms. Concetta Lewis, who is our Interim Executive Director for Special Education, as well as Erica Hatt, who is our Coordinator for Elementary Education. Joining us this evening are three teachers, as Dr. Swift made mention. They are our building literacy experts, and I'm just very pleased that they are able to be here this evening. Daria Mustafa is a building literacy expert. She shares her time between Ann Arbor Open and Northside STEAM. Melissa Schmidt is a building literacy expert, and she shares her expertise between Mitchell Elementary School and Lakewood, and I'm pretty sure she was thrilled to hear about the cafeteria. And then Jennifer Wade is our building literacy expert, and she is full-time at Pittsfield Elementary. And as Dr. Swift made mention, we really do look at the need in buildings, and we sort of adjust our FTE assignments depending upon the need. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over the presentation to our two shared presenters, and then we will all be welcome questions that you might have after the presentation.
Good evening. As you just heard, my name is Erica Hatt. I'm the Social Studies and ELA Curriculum Coordinator for Elementary. I'm here today with my colleague, Concetta Lewis.
Hi, and as you heard, I'm the Interim Executive Director for Special Ed.
So together, we will give you an overview of Ann Arbor Public Schools' implementation of Public Act 306, better known as the third grade reading law. In this overview, you will learn about our robust plan to grow proficient readers using well-prepared teachers, strong curriculum, and knowledgeable building leaders. So the third grade reading law is continuing to propel and enhance our long-standing work here in Ann Arbor. As you know, the law can be summarized by the following categories: identification, intervention, professional development, and retention. The last category is retention, but I want to make it clear that Ann Arbor Public Schools does not plan to retain any of our third graders. You may have neighbors or friends from other school communities that are worried, and here in Ann Arbor, we have done our best to ensure our families that retention is not a route that we plan to take. So regarding supporting student achievement in our schools, the Michigan Department of Education is specifically in support of a framework called MTSS. That stands for a multi-tiered system of supports. In fact, it's an integral part of Michigan's strategic plan. MTSS is a comprehensive framework. It's not a curriculum, but a framework which provides districts with an efficient way to organize themselves and their resources to support their teachers in the implementation of effective practices so that all learners in schools can succeed. This means providing a tiered framework of instruction, intervention, and supports. So let me explain how the system works and how we see it organizing our work here in Ann Arbor. The graphic on the screen, no problem. The graphic on the screen gives you more information about this tiered framework. There is a tier 1, which is referred to as core classroom instruction. This instruction ensures access to high quality, differentiated instruction. All students receive core classroom instruction. When a student is struggling to meet academic targets with just core classroom instruction, another layer of support is added on. This targeted support is in addition to core classroom instruction, and that is referred to as tier 2. When a student still struggles to meet academic targets with tier 1 and tier 2 supports in place, a more intensive plan is outlined, which is tier 3 in the system. So now let me tell you a little bit more about core classroom instruction. The core is the classroom setting where instruction is delivered and differentiated for all students. This year, we've continued to focus on strengthening this classroom setting. Specifically, we're focused on reading instruction methods that are research supported and aligned to phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, comprehension, and vocabulary, the big 5, and more areas of reading beyond that. This work has led us to the essential instructional practices in early literacy, which was developed by the Early Literacy Task Force. Again, I believe you all have the essential documents for pre-K to 5 in front of you. Distinguished literacy experts, some of them from our very own backyard, Dr. Nell Duke and Dr. Tanya Wright, have vetted and in some cases conducted research for these 10 instructional practices. The motto across Michigan is every essential, every classroom, every student, every day. We have also purchased Lexia Core 5, thank you so much, trustees, which customizes support for students in the 5 areas of reading within the core classroom setting.
So I'm going to share a little about tier 2 and tier 3. And this is for all students, and this is specifically for students that might need additional support. In Ann Arbor Public Schools, we use our building literacy experts, the BLEs that we've been talking about, to provide that support through the development of that one-page individualized reading improvement plan. And strategically, they collaborate with the classroom teacher so that they are not each working in isolation, but they're working together to ensure that the needs of those students are met. Again, the focus is on that big 5, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, phonemic awareness, and phonics, among other areas of literacy. One of the core programs that I talked about last week that we are using for that is Project Read, which is an Orton Gillingham-based program. And again, as we talked about last week, it focuses on that big 5 that is consistent and important for reading instruction. And in addition to that, there's also elements of spelling, writing, oral language, listening comprehension within each lesson. And again, this one was designed specifically for students with dyslexia, and there's a good amount of research that supports the use of this type of multi-sensory systematic program for students that are having difficulty with reading instruction. Another piece that we use here in the district is the Level Literacy Intervention by Fountas and Pinnell, and this provides daily small group instruction for students, again with that explicit instruction using level literacy to help students have access to reading material that is at their level yet still engaging. We have Sound Partners, which is also another explicit balanced phonics program. We have the Linda Mood Phoneme Sequencing Program, or better known as LIPS. And again, this is a comprehensive multi-sensory program that again focuses on small group explicit instruction for students to help develop those skills. One of the big things that Erica just mentioned was the Lexia Reading Core 5 program. And one of the unique pieces of this program is that it is computerized, it's adaptive, So it provides an individualized experience for each student, even as they are working inside of the program. And it focuses again on those pieces: phonological awareness, phonics, structural analysis, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. The other piece for that is that gives teachers data that they can use on a real-time norm reference data basis to help determine what students need. All of these programs have some common themes that focus again on those big 5 areas for reading instruction: intervention with small groups, the inclusion of spelling, and again, a structured, systematic way of providing that instruction for students, with the goal of ensuring that we have students who are becoming thoughtful, purposeful, and independent readers using higher thinking skills.
So Ms. Lewis just mentioned that read-at-home plans are an important component of the individual reading improvement plans written for our struggling readers. A significant part of every read-at-home plan is a family literacy night. So up on the screen, you will see a list of all the dates of the literacy nights that occurred across our elementary buildings. Every building hosted a literacy night, and in many cases, because of the success they saw, hosted more than one. I want to give you some more insight into how those nights went. And so we have a portion of a video that will give you a view into all of that.
Hi! Reading can take you places. Come to Family Literacy Night. Reading is fun. Can't wait to see you at Family Literacy Night.
I know you want to be cool like us. The only place to be on Thursday evening is Family Literacy Night.
Come to Family Literacy Night. I will be there. Reading brings us joy.
Come to Family Literacy Night. You'll be happy you came. Hey, come join me at Family Literacy Night. You gotta be kidding me! I can't wait to see what happens on the next page! Oh my God! Reading is a blast. Wait to read. Check this one out.
Oh, the books you can read at
Carpenter's Family Literacy Night. Hope to see you there.
bus. So shh, 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 all through the town.
Should we go back up to the first verse to start? The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round. All.
So as you can see, we had great participation at our family literacy nights, not only from our families, but also from staff members. This night brought joy for our community and really united families and staff, so the entire school community, around the power of literacy.
So you might be wondering, how do we know which students need support, and how do we make that determination? We have a few pieces of data that we use to collect that information in our district. One of those is the NWEA assessment. We have the Michigan Kindergarten Readiness Assessment, and then we have the Fountas and Pinnell Benchmark Assessment System, which is much broader than the running record, and as Dr. Swift mentioned earlier, it allows us to pinpoint specifically what area a student might need support with. And again, it focuses on those big five, and this was one of the goals or the important things that the team talked about when they presented last year about being responsive to the needs of our students. So we've taken some steps in our district to build the capacity of our teams as a whole so that they have a better depth and understanding of how to support students across every tier. So we've used some pretty systematic and thoughtful, purposeful plans for our professional development. Dr. Swift talked about some of those with the support of Dr. Pearson and Dr. Katz. They've collaborated with our speech and language pathologists to help our speech and language pathologists understand their role in the importance of literacy and language. We've also had sessions with Dr. Tanya Wright and our building principals. We've been in collaboration and consultation with Dr. Nell Duke, and I believe that some of you had an opportunity to engage with her. And then we've also embedded this work into our new teacher and our mentee program to ensure that all of our teachers, especially those that are novice teachers and new to the field, have the support and expertise that they need. And then our building literacy experts meet monthly with our ELA coordinators across the district. So we are very excited about the support that we've been able to provide.
So you can probably tell that we've been busy this year. Our goal has been to implement, with your support, thank you so much, trustees, high quality instruction in every classroom. In the 2016-2017 school year, we began our work with the core and Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions. This school year, we intensified that work. So we made sure that we focused ourselves around the statewide literacy essential initiative. Many of our teachers were engaged in that work, and again, we engaged with the experts that vetted that work with many of our teachers, and our teachers also engaged with neighboring districts through programs such as the Study of Early Literacy, or SOL. We also enhanced the core through Core 5, as you heard earlier. We really intensified our Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions with the help of our building literacy experts, who expanded their work to include K-3 students, who really took on the new role of supporting classroom teachers and collaborating with school principals, and who really engaged in specialized training around early literacy. We also enhanced our intervention tools to include the tools that Ms. Lewis talked to you about just a moment ago. And we made good use of the data that we obtained from our Fountas and Pinnell optional assessments and reading and running records, and also my Lexia. We really worked on the homeschool connection through the individualized reading improvement plans, which included the family literacy nights. Also, Lexia Core 5 really helped us build that homeschool connection because this is a program that students are able to use at home. And we heard lots of feedback from parents about how valuable that was for them. So, how well are we doing? I know it's important to show what we are doing is making an impact in the classroom with our students. So our partners at Lexia Core 5 have recently provided us with some data, which was analyzed recently on May 23rd. So let's start with the graphic on the left, which captures data for all elementary students. This graphic shows, using the embedded assessment within Lexia, that at the start of the school year, 3% of our students were working beyond the end of the year benchmark for their grade level. 46% of students were working in grade level material. 23% of students were working one grade below, but within reach. And 28% were requiring more intensive support. At the end of the school year, we have a different story. 30% of our students ended the year working beyond end of year benchmark. 38% were working within grade level material, which is appropriate. 19% were one grade level below, but within reach. And 13% required more intensive support. This is cause for great celebration. Our Lexia Core 5 implementation manager, who works nationally for Lexia, has provided us with excellent feedback in our first year of implementation. She is very impressed with our numbers and has not seen a school our size see this much success in their first year of implementation. She repeated that to me over and over. This result is a testament to our incredible teachers and our building literacy experts and the power of this tool. We're going to move to the right of the screen. So let me show you the progress for those students who engaged in Lexia Core 5 to its fullest potential by meeting their usage targets.
And Ms. Hatt, would you pause and remind the trustees and I of what the usage target is? I almost remember, but I want you to say it correctly.
So it varies depending on the student because it's important that each student has a plan that's tailored to them, but on average it would be 15 minutes a day.
So 5 times a week or?
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be all on different days, but if that's what the average would be.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. So if we're looking at the graphs on the right, let's look at the start of the school year. 4% of our students were working beyond the end of year benchmark for their grade level. 59% were working in grade level material. 18% worked one grade level below, but within reach, and 19% required more intensive support. At the end of the school year, we have another different story. 64% of all of these students ended the year working beyond end of year benchmark. 23% were within grade level material, which is appropriate, and 13% required more intensive support. So again, that's great success. Very impressive. So here's more successful data I want to share with you. Let's look at progress with a specific grade level. Let's take a look at kindergarten. On the left, you can see that at the start of the school year, 34% of kindergartners were working on skills at the pre-K level. 65% of kindergartners were working within grade level, and none of our kindergartners were working beyond. At the end of the school year, only 4% were still in pre-K material. 64% were appropriately working in K material, and now we see 28% working in first grade material, 3% working in second grade, and 1% working in third. It's incredible. So you can see the same success at 4th and 5th grade. Some of the trustees have asked how our 4th and 5th graders are doing. So I am pleased to show you these results and to assure you that these kiddos are being supported. Our investment and expenditure has indeed supported core instruction. Trustees, thank you so much for your support. Okay, so Lexia Core 5 has provided us with lots of information. I want to show you some specific information here about our strengths. The graph at the top with the green shows us what our top 10 strengths are. And so that gives us a lot of cause for celebration. And then the graphic on the bottom shows us about where we have a weakness, and where we have a weakness within the big five that we talked about earlier. So this data has indicated that we have more work to do around the area of phonics instruction within the core classroom. This information will certainly inform our work for the next year. Okay, so I want to remind you that earlier I talked about how we started in 2016, 2017, and what we did this school year. And now I want to talk to you about our next steps. So we are going to continue to focus on the literacy essentials. I want to remind you that every essential is research supported, and that these essentials focus on the big five. And so we want to build that expertise within the core classroom, looking at specific essentials. We're actually very excited because at the start of this next school year, Dr. Nell Duke will help us kick off in August with these essentials. So we are going to continue our partnership with Dr. Nell Duke, Dr. Tanya Wright, Dr. Joanne Pearson, Dr. Lauren Katz, and Pete Pullen from Eaton Academy. We're also going to make sure that we take a look at explicit instruction in the area of phonics and phonological awareness. As you saw, our data indicates that we do that. As far as targeted and intensive intervention goes, so the second and third tiers of support, we are going to continue working with our building literacy experts. We are going to work to support all of our students, K-5. We are going to work to support teachers in their own environments, so through job-embedded professional development. And we are going to continue to encourage collective efficacy within the schools, so making sure school teams are working together to attain the goals that we all have to grow proficient readers. And we're just going to continue with specialized training around these intervention tools that we have, and we're going to continue looking at other tools and making sure that we have the best information to be able to provide the support for all our learners. Thank you.
So I know that we're going to get our building folks, our teachers and literacy experts up to share with us. Trustees, I wanted to remind you, and I know you remember it every day, Dr. Nell Duke refers to early literacy in Michigan as a public health crisis. And we in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, thanks to competent and committed and passionate folks like the ones in front of you, we have made a commitment that it will not be a public health crisis in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. I'm very proud of the work of this team, but at the end of this first full year of implementation, I was saying to one of you earlier today, our list of next steps is quite long because we now know what we didn't know a year ago, and we know how to do it better. So I'm really excited for you to have time to engage directly with folks who are doing the work in the schools and to have robust discussion. We love study sessions because they afford us this opportunity. I know that you've been studying, preparing for this evening. And so with that, Madam President and trustees, we're open for your questions.
And before I open it up to trustees, if any of you that are working so hard in our buildings want to share something as sort of introductory comments or feedback on your own, obviously the trustees will ask questions and we'll need you for that, but if there's anything you want to help also to share, that would be appreciated.
I'm Daria Mustafa, and I'm the BLE at Ann Arbor Open and Ann Arbor STEAM. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your support for the BLEs this year. Particularly the family literacy nights went really, really well. Families were really pleased and engaged and very happy, you know. And they went home with materials to work with their kids on. And so thank you. Thank you for your support.
Trustees, I thank you for supporting our work this year. My name is Jennifer Wade, and I am the building literacy expert at Pittsfield. And looking at the list of what literacy leadership looks like in Ann Arbor, it is very impressive. Each one of the initiatives that we've embarked upon this year has kept our students, our families, and our teachers at the very center. We've had many areas of success this year, but tonight I'd like to highlight just one of them. At Pittsfield Elementary, our Core 5 implementation was a great success. On a daily basis, I would walk into classrooms and see students actively engaged in a variety of literacy practices, included blended learning with Core 5. Students would celebrate their achievements together, and I'd often hear students exclaiming, "Oh, I learned this on Core 5," or "My teacher just taught me that," while using the program. In working with students, I saw application of the skills that they had been learning and practicing. Classroom teachers shared their appreciation of the feedback provided by Lexia and the ongoing opportunities for enrichment and intervention. In the short 12 weeks that students used the program, those who met their usage targets progressed one grade level or more in material, as we saw on the slide previously. And I just think, imagine what we'll be able to accomplish next year with a full year of implementation. So again, I'd like to thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Melissa Schmidt, and I've been the BLE this year at Mitchell Elementary and also at Lakewood. I'd just like to share a quick vignette from my experience with students this year using the LIPS curriculum that you heard Ms. Lewis talk about. So I was able to work with the kindergarten teachers in one of my buildings through collaboration and communication with 4 students, 3 of which were English learners and one who had a developmental delay in his speech. They were all showing an area of need in phonological awareness, specifically within phonemic awareness, which is the understanding of the most minute unit, sound unit in words. So within the embedded pre and post assessment within LIPS curriculum, all of my students showed specific areas of growth in the isolating the initial phoneme and identifying the final sounds in words. But more importantly, these kindergarten students, as they bounded out of the door, as I did my bus duty at the end of the day, they would come out every day saying, Mrs. Schmidt, listen, p, p, b, b. I know that. That's a quiet lip popper, or that's a noisy lip popper sound. So not only did my students grow, and I have data working with my teachers to prove that, but their confidence in their tools and the things that they had to call on just lit up as they were getting on those buses with their sounds. So thank you so much for allowing us to have that tool in our toolbox.
Thank you. This is incredibly important. Thank you so much for being here the week after school let out. I know you're still working, but we appreciate your commitment to coming to a Board of Education meeting, and I hope you can hear from all of us our very sincere interest and dedication to making sure by 2019-20 we are holding no child back in 3rd grade, not because of a political statement, but because we actually don't need to.
That's right.
So that's our commitment. Thank you so much.
So thank you, trustees, very much. We're deeply committed to this work, and we look forward to reporting back on a number of your questions. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much.